Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maura Wroblewski, and I represent District 1 on the Madison City Council. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. To my left is Mrs. Connie Spears. She represents District 2. And to the far right is our Director of Engineering, Mr. Gary Chynoweth. I want to also thank Samantha Magnuson for being here tonight. She's our communications specialist, and she's running the Zoom portion of our meeting. And my thanks also to Jason Coley, because he has helped with the chamber setup tonight and YouTube as well, and to the mayor's office for helping to make this event possible. I wanted to let you know that Q&A will follow our presentation tonight. So we're going to go through several segments of the town hall presentation for the roundabout. And so I'd like to ask you to hold your questions to the end. With regard to the roundabout, we'll be taking those questions. So we're going to begin really with the number one question that I personally have received, and that is why a roundabout and not a traffic light? And so I'd like to ask Gary to please help us to better understand that.
Well, the roundabout.
You need to bring your microphone to you.
Roundabout or a traffic signal, their sole purpose is to define right-of-way for crossing it at intersections, and they have different efficiencies. With this particular intersection being just a two-lane, no widening of the lanes at the intersection, a traffic signal located as it is would have been a less efficient device than the four-way stop that you've got today. To make it efficient, you would have to have widened the approach lanes to 3 lanes so that the left turn traffic would pull to the side and would not hold up through traffic. And the modification of that particular intersection would have cost more than the roundabout would have cost to begin with. And then that's not even including putting a traffic signal in. So on this particular intersection, the decision was made to go with the roundabout because of the required geometry change, regardless of whether it's a signal or a roundabout. And then we don't have the maintenance and the headache of a traffic signal. And so it ended up being an efficiency call with a lower cost.
Okay, very good, thank you. And this is John Seifert. He represents District 7 on the Madison City Council. So you may be wondering, why are there 3 people here? And it's because each of our districts is impacted. I have the southern part. Connie has a little bit of the northern and western part. John also has a northern part. So all of our districts are impacted by this intersection. So I would like to show what the representation of the roundabout will look like. It'll appear on your screen. And what Keith, our GIS expert, has done is he has, well, you know what, Gary, you can explain it better than I can about the overlay and how the left is before and the right is after.
You know, what we've done, and this is on our GIS maps, the interactive maps on our websites. You can go online and look at this and zoom into it and do what you want with it. But on the left-hand side, it's the 2020 picture of the intersection as it exists today. And what we've done is we've taken the design roundabout and we've superimposed it over that intersection so you can see how it fits in the intersection. You see how it interacts with the gas station that's existing there. The city, when we extended Gillespie Road to County Line Road, we purchased a very large amount of right-of-way for that particular project. And we had excess right-of-way on the west side of Balch Road. And that's why the roundabout is off center, is so that we could push it to the west side. It did not require but like 200 square feet of right-of-way to be acquired from the gas station, and the owner of that station gifted it to the city. So that made it an extremely inexpensive project to build. We would point out that if we'd done a signal, had to 3-lane that, we would have acquired much more right-of-way because of the widening of the road. But we fit the right-of-way within the constraint of this particular intersection.
And the roundabout is single lane.
It is a single lane roundabout.
But yet large enough to handle our fire engines, ambulances.
It is, and I do wish I had one other video I found that showed trucks and buses making roundabout trips, and that is on our website. So again, that is available. But this is sized for all of the traffic. It is sized to handle the volume of traffic that we anticipate in the future. Both of these roads, one, the Balch Road is running around 9,000 cars a day. Gillespie's running around 7,000 cars a day. And we expect both of them to top out in the 10,000 range. And this roundabout will handle that build out in traffic.
What capacity is that?
That's around, it has a capacity of around 25,000 cars a day.
So you're
Can you
running,
move there you go.
so you're running, I mean, I try not to do math in public, but you're running somewhere around 30% capacity or predicted 30% capacity on those.
We're running closer to 50%.
50. So yeah, that's why I don't do math in public. Did you speak to, and I apologize for being late a few minutes, so, did you speak at all to why a roundabout versus a traffic light, just advantages?
First thing we covered, and it was really a cost issue.
Yep.
All right, up to speed. Very good. Ready to go? Okay, so the next item that I wanted us to talk about was kind of our tentative start time, completion time, and I know that the construction cycle is broken down a little bit. We're going to start, and the intersection will be open as a four-way stop. Then we're going to close it. It'll be made into a roundabout, but the intersection will be closed at that time, and then we'll reopen it as the roundabout. So do you have some, and of course we know that weather is always a deciding factor. I'm going to pray that the weather is exactly like this for the next 3 months and a nice 70 degrees with no humidity. But do we have some dates for that, Gary?
Well, our pre-construction meeting is scheduled for the 28th of this month, this next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're requesting a notice to proceed date of May the 5th.
Okay.
And we've got an estimated 90-day construction period for this. The key time for this is how we're staggering construction, that most of the fill and pipe, storm drainage pipe work is on the west half or the west side of Balch Road. And they can actually do that work with the road under traffic. And once the fill and the base and the pipe is put in on those expanded areas, the rest of it being concrete work and asphalt paving can be done in a fairly short period of time. So once they reach the point where they're ready for the concrete and asphalt work, we will allow them to shut that intersection down for a period of 30 days. And they've got an incentive clause in there, $2,000 a day for every day they open it up sooner. And there's a penalty of the same amount for any day they go over that time. But we feel it's a doable schedule. The time of closing the road will be determined by the contractor when he can get all of his ducks in a row. He may do the grade work and he may leave the site for several weeks until his subcontractors can all get scheduled to where when they open up and start back work with the road shut down, they can get it done in the shortest period of time. The key on this schedule-wise is the work has to be done before school starts in the fall.
Very good. So again, that tentative start time is May 5th, and then 90 days would bring it to August 5th. And then during that time period, 30 days, that intersection will be completely closed, and it could be probably a little bit more towards the end, or it could be smack dab in the middle.
It's all dependent on weather, how many times they get rained out. There's a lot of problems with construction scheduling right now because there's a huge demand for construction crews, and they're being pulled off one job to serve another. And I would not want to predict it at this time that's the purpose of the pre-construction meeting. Okay. They will give us a construction schedule after that, and that will be their best guess at that time.
Okay, very good.
I'm going to take a wild guess because I know school's going to start back early August. There's probably going to be some time when that intersection is under construction and school is in session.
We hope not, but that's,
Yeah.
we're shooting for getting it done before.
I wouldn't make a Snickers bar bet on that. So
Okay.
just saying, Mother Nature, it's going to rain between May and August 5th.
The nice thing about this time of year is when it rains, the drying conditions are excellent,
Right.
so they can start work
It's
quicker.
certainly hot.
Absolutely.
But in theory, the construction company should have experience with that time of the year and build that into their schedule.
The
Yeah.
weather does not bother me as much as the demand for crews. Everybody's just overloaded right now.
So when the construction gets going and we close that intersection, we're going to have detours. And detours are just to keep the traffic flowing. So we do have a graphic of those as well. So Gary, would you like to explain these as well?
Well, this is where the residents will become most unhappy because for a 30-day period, there will be commuter traffic going through subdivision roads. We don't like that to happen on a day-to-day basis, but this is in order to get this road done as quickly as we can. And Franklin Station will be used as part of the detour route.
Applewood.
Wood will be part of it, and Walden Preserve will be part of the detour route. But the route that we're showing in red will provide access ways for all 4 directions of traffic through this intersection.
And I'll say also it's critical that our first responders are able to have these detours. We live kind of across the street from Franklin Station, and if I were to have a heart attack and the ambulance was going to need to take me to Madison Hospital, better to go through Applewood and then Walden Preserve than to have to go to County Line Road or Wall Triana. So in the essence of keeping traffic flowing, people getting to work, hopefully not so much getting to school, but getting to work, first responders, fire, all being able to serve our community, we have to have these open. I have spoken with Major Stringer, who is our acting police chief, about this very situation because I have received emails about it. People do not want to, people driving through their neighborhood. I am going to request increased patrolling. If we maybe need to put up a sign that says, and I'm sure we'll have signs that say detour as well. And if we need a digital sign on Pennsylvania, because if you look at that, it's a very long, straight stretch. There are no speed bumps, anything like that. We will have increased patrols. We will be responsive. If you see an issue, you live in those subdivisions, you're driving in that subdivision and you see an issue or concern, I sincerely hope that you'll reach out and contact either MPD directly, your city council representative, the mayor's office to communicate that concern. We are going to be extra diligent during this time to be responsive to our needs. Safety is always number one. Is there anything else that you wanted to add with?
There's Q&A in just a second.
Yes, and I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I just wanted to mention, we're going to kind of go through the entire presentation. We want to give you as much information as we can. And at the end, we will have an opportunity for Q&A with regard to the roundabout. We have a video. So a lot of people live in Europe or in other cities and they experience the roundabout. I only see the roundabout when I go to Costco. So we actually have a video to kind of help people understand how to work a roundabout. And we're going to play that. And this will also be available on our Facebook page. We'll all be sharing it as well. Website. Here we go.
The modern roundabout is a circular intersection with design features that promote safe and efficient traffic flow around a center island. Entering traffic goes through a curve that's sharp enough to slow vehicles to about 15 to 20 miles per hour, and drivers yield to the circulating traffic. Speeds are kept low because drivers have to go around the curves in a roundabout. Drivers approaching a roundabout reduce their speeds and look for vehicles already in the circle. After entering, drivers proceed to their exits. The overall result is slow and smooth movement. At traditional intersections, some of the most common crashes are right angle and left turn collisions. These can be severe because the vehicles often are going fast to make it through a green light. At roundabouts, these crashes essentially are eliminated because vehicles travel in the same direction and at slower speeds. Converting intersections to roundabouts reduces all crashes 40% and injury crashes 80%. There also are significant improvements in traffic flow, which lead to reduced emissions and fuel consumption. Roundabouts may be controversial when they're proposed, but public opinion changes once they're built. Motorists soon find out through their own experience the safety and traffic flow benefits, and then show enthusiastic support for roundabouts.
And the one thing the video didn't address that I think is critically important is the use of turn signals, that if you're going to exit the roundabout, use your turn signals so that person that's at that same area that's entering, oh, look at that.
It continues on to several more.
Oh, okay. Well, when you get home, watch that one about the turn signal, and it's kind of prophetic there for a minute. Those were really kind of all of the points that I wanted to cover that I could think of. The reason why we were choosing the roundabout over the traffic signal, the detour routes, the videos explaining why we're going in this direction, pardon the pun. And is there anything else, Gary, that you kind of wanted to add with regard to this project?
Well, the state of Alabama has put out a standard for roundabouts for design within the state. And one thing that they are requiring, because of the great history of reduced accidents and especially reduced injuries at intersections, is they in general want you to first demonstrate that a roundabout won't work before they'd want you to consider a signal. That's how they've pushed toward it. So they're pushing roundabouts a lot. Would like to point out that for those who are uncomfortable with roundabouts, everybody references the Providence one. That's got double lanes on it. It's not what we're designing here. A roundabout that is more reflective of what we're going to be putting in is one that's in Athens at Lindsay Lane and Nick Davis Road. And if you drive that one and go through it on an occasion, even with heavy traffic, it's very easily traveled and navigated. I've not seen an accident there. I go through it a couple times a week. And if you go through that just to test it and feel for yourself what it's like, as far as the size of the roundabout goes, their outer limits of their asphalt drive, the circle, is the same as our inner dimension of asphalt circle. So our concrete circle, which is the apron that a large truck may have his rear wheels traveling over if it's a very large vehicle, ours is much larger than theirs, which allows us to navigate it at a little higher speed and allows more cars within the circle, which increases its capacity. We do have one under construction right now. Public Works is building our first real roundabout on Intergraph Way and Lime Quarry Road. We're anticipating increased traffic from the Trash Panda and the development that's happening south of the interstate. And it is still under construction, but it's being constructed under traffic. You actually go drive that now. It is the same general dimensions as the one that we're putting in at Gillespie and Balch.
Very good. I was going to ask about that. So that's good to know, and that's very convenient to go and check it out. Councilmember Seifert, anything that you'd like to add before we go to Q&A?
I guess I've got one question, and this may come up through here. So as the objective, right, keep people moving, keep those things. We've got several entrance exits of neighborhoods nearby. Some concerns been expressed to me are, difficulty getting out, right? I mean, now it's difficult. They're curious with the potential increased flow, maybe decrease congestion at the intersection, but maybe increase flow later on. Is there any way that we're going to monitor that, measure that to see, are there dials that can be turned?
We
or whatever
respond to
that?
any complaint about problems entering us or any safety issues. So
Yeah.
If there is an issue afterwards that they want us to address, it's just a matter of you can do it through Q Alert within our website where you can make a request for service or just send an email to us.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they can always bug you three and then you.
And there's also let us know, which is, let us know, which is on the main page of our website, and not just with this subject, but with any subject, and it'll filter right to the department. I think one advantage of doing this project now is not having school in session and maybe not having that morning drive time of taking kids to school or in the afternoon. Buses aren't going to have to negotiate it and get through that intersection right now. So we're going to think positive that it's done before school is out.
I think positive, but
Okay.
I'm also a realist.
Okay. Councilmember Spears, do you have anything questions or anything before we go to Q&A?
Well, the first thing I would like to do is to thank you publicly for putting this together, y'all. Maura has worked very hard and to coordinate all of this. And basically, John and I are just here to look cute, I guess. I don't know. But Maura has really done a lot of work to put this together. It was her idea, and she allowed us to be a part of it. And like I said, she coordinated everything and has done, I think, a really good job. But I'm looking forward to this, to hearing your questions and concerns as we go through this. I will tell you that just in the last probably 10 days, we had, I received an email about an intersection in Limestone County and some safety concerns. And I forwarded it to Gary, and he actually pulled up statistics and did send somebody out there to look at the intersection. And now we're going to actually be doing some improvements for that intersection because of safety issues. So he is very responsive to safety concerns. So if you can just let us know that there's a problem, then we will do everything we can to get it solved expediently.
Absolutely, yes. And so when you do come up to speak, if you don't mind just saying your first and last name and the district, if you know your districts, because we may want to follow up with you. If you're not sure what district you live in, if you could maybe just say your subdivision, so we would have an idea of what your concern might be. So what we'll do is we'll do council chambers first, and then we'll go to Zoom. So if you're on Zoom now and you have a question, if you could go to move your mouse to the bottom middle part, kind of underneath where the podium is, you'll see a feature that says raise your hand. If you could go ahead and hit that now, we'll be ready to go with the Zoom members after we answer questions here in chambers. So if you have a question here in chambers, we would love to hear it. Yes, I would, if you could come to the podium, and you may need to move the mic just so that it's closer. And feel free, we've all been vaccinated, to take your mask off if you're comfortable. It's just a little bit easier for folks to hear, especially with sometimes we have some audio issues here, but if you could do that, that would be awesome. Any questions? Oh, okay, very good. Okay, good deal.
One question, because I got a couple of questions.
You can absolutely, and I know who you are, and I know you are mine.
Yes. But for everyone else, my name is Jim Lake. I live in Windsor Park, and I have been pressuring ever since I found out that Maura was the slightest bit interested in a roundabout. I have been twisting her arm ever since. A little bit about my background. I was in the service for 22 years. I spent 3 years in the United Kingdom, and I have since my retirement been working with the Missile Defense Agency, and have spent probably 9 months in Europe. So I have driven 1 or 2 roundabouts, and that's why I'm giving you that, so you understand my background on that. First of all, 90 days, that's good. That's ambitious, but I like it. The question I had was the detour map. Is that on the website? It will be? Okay, good. Second, signage. I noticed in the video that they have a different type of sign. It's more of a European style sign that has the cutout in the bottom that shows you that's not the way you turn. Is that the kind of signage that we're going to have? Or are we going to have the typical traffic circle sign that confuses the heck out of everybody?
Probably the one that confuses the heck out of everybody, but it is out of our standard manual of uniform traffic control devices. So I don't know what the European standard is. I believe the one we have has the little notch at the end, even though you can continue to go in circles if you want to. It is basically the
It's there to
circular
show you
showing the
that's
different
not the
routes.
direction you turn. That's why it's there.
Right.
Now, we had a roundabout at the University of South Alabama where I was a police officer. And it was a huge roundabout if you've ever seen it, but it's huge but they had one-way signs, at least initially, they had one-way signs on the island to show people to turn right and not.
Right, as you
We still have people turn left, but
As you approach the splitter islands, there'll be a sign in the splitter island that shows you to keep right.
okay,
So you'll stay on the right side of the splitter island. As you approach your yield sign, there'll be a one-way sign on the concrete apron that shows them the direction the roundabout
Okay.
goes.
okay, great. Now, the big question. I'm sure this is going to work. I've seen it work in a lot of different places. I saw it work in Buffalo where for the first 6 months, everybody hated it. And then after that, that was the way it had always been. So do you have any future plans for roundabouts? I can give you a few intersections I'd like to put up as candidates.
Roundabouts will be looked at in any intersection that it is applicable. So are there future plans? There are future candidates.
Mhm.
Whether there are plans to do it depends on if funds are available.
Roger that. Okay, thank you very much.
Good. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, one last thing, I'm sorry.
No.
Anybody who's scared of a roundabout, if we could set up a parking lot with some cones, I will personally teach people how to go through a roundabout.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, sir. If you could come to the podium, please. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is John Guire. I'm in Stone Ridge subdivision, so I don't use it every day, but there's a number of times that I've gone to Decatur and I'll be using that Gillespie Road. The roundabout you mentioned is going to be closed for 30 days. When was that date start expected?
That's to be determined by the contractor.
I haven't got the-
It'll be in the summer, somewhere in the July range.
Good. One of the things that he brought up is signage, and I lived in England for 3.5 months, and they have the most beautiful signage over there. I never had a problem going around. The only time I ever had a problem was coming out of my driveway, and I went on the wrong lane one time. But at the roundabouts, the signage, they don't have billboards over there. They don't have things to distract you from your driving. And one of the things that I noticed about the Providence one is that the signage isn't anywhere near as beautiful as what I saw over in England. And if I can encourage anybody to do better on signage, having one back at least 200, if not 300 feet, and then a second one at about 100 feet. I'm not sure about the distance.
We're dictated on signage by our manual of uniform traffic control. It's been adopted by all the states, so that if you go through a roundabout here, you'll be facing the same signage in Timbuktu in the United States.
Okay, what about the
But there is an advance
other
warning.
signs that can be around? Like we've got that Shell gas station right there. And I don't know what else is available.
I don't do advertising signs. I just do traffic control signs.
But because it's a roundabout that needs that kind of signage, we should have some sort of regulation that says you can't have other kinds of signs to distract while you're trying to navigate something that everybody says whenever they first meet them, I can't do that, I'm scared. But those other signs distract you. And it's one of my big pet peeves, and I love roundabouts. I think they should be everywhere. I really do. Thank you very much.
I think our sign ordinance right now is fairly restrictive. Every business will tell you that anyhow. And I don't know that we've got a lot of distractions at intersections due to business signage.
Well, you do have, the Shell gas station does have it right there on the corner.
Now, I will say for that Shell gas station, so that was in the county, but while it was being built and was not and one, the sign ordinance was not passed at that point, but two, did not have to, and Tim, you're sitting back there. I hope may correct me here, because I know you were on when all this happened, but that was built in the county, so it didn't have to comply with city regs and codes. Afterwards was annexed into the city. So as they make improvements, at some point in time, if it gets to a certain value, then they're going to have to comply, with that regulation. At the same time, that corner of the intersection, and I hope everybody's seen this since we did pass the ordinance about, or I say pass ordinance, kind of crack down on for sale signs, all that kind, buy your mattress here, we'll buy your house, all that kind of stuff. At least that's not there. So that at least limits some of those distractions. But I live right there. I go through that every day. So I know which sign you're referring to. And
There is a significant elevation change too. So
There
that
is,
sign
yeah.
is going to be above your eye level as you approach that roundabout. So I think that will negate a lot of those concerns. You're going to shift and you're going to turn slightly to the northwest, so you won't be looking at that directly. But it's still there. I can't do anything about it.
Distract you.
Yeah.
That's my biggest point, is there's something there to distract you and can cause possible accident.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
you,
McGuire.
sir.
Appreciate that, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay.
My name is Reid Carpenter. I'm in District 4. The only time I've gone through that Balch Gillespie intersection and liked it was 2 o'clock when I took my buddy to the hospital. That is the worst intersection I've ever seen, and anytime I even get near it, I try to plan trips around it. I try to avoid it because it's so terrible. I'm really a big fan of roundabouts. I've had them. I've also, like many other Madison transplants, have lived overseas and done and navigated traffic circles like the one proposed. I'm really happy it's going to come. I think it's going to be much safer. I think we'll maintain a higher traffic flow through the intersection, and you won't waste half a tank of gas waiting for your turn. So I'm very pleased. I did have a couple of questions. I didn't see ahead of time the detour. That is a significant detour, and I feel sorry for the residents on there, but if I was 14 years old, I might open up a lemonade stand along that route. I did have a couple of questions. Are people going to be able to get to that Shell gas station during the shutdown,
Yes.
during the detour? Okay.
Yes.
So one-way
It will
traffic
be
in and out
available.
to the gas station. Okay. And is there going to be a public information campaign put out on how to navigate or do that kind of thing?
We're going to do our very best. There will be information that we'll individually put out. There'll be information that the city will put out. This will be broadcast and it will be kept up through the entire construction period. I've requested that to happen. Usually we kind of when the event's over, but we will keep this video up for people to look at during the construction time.
Yeah, you might consider putting the web address for this information on the electronic signs that you put up to say, slow down, learn about your coming roundabout, something like that.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, and we can absolutely do that. Our website is madisonal.gov, and that's a great point.
And we've been posting them on social media, the Facebook and Nextdoor.
Yeah, that's how I learned about this tonight. So I was happy to learn about that. There's a comical episode of Mythbusters that addressed this, and that's what the one thing that changed my mind. And I just as a public information thing, I know that turn signals are going to be key to making this traffic signal work. I just found out that the blinker fluid shortage is over. And so people can once again use their turn signals, turn on their blinkers, and get through the traffic circle when it's finished. I'm very happy to hear about that. Thank you for doing this. I know this has been a long time. I know that when you first ran for office,
Yes.
this was an issue, Ms. Wroblewski, and I'm just so happy it's going to get done. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Reid. I appreciate that. Are there any questions in chambers before we go to our friends on Zoom? Okay, all right. So do we have any questions on Zoom, Sam? We do have one?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, my name is Doug Goldstein. I live in District 1. I represent Applewood subdivision of the HOA. Maura and I have talked over the years a few times. So most of the residents in my neighborhood have been concerned with traffic through the neighborhood. Some backstory there, and we've been pushing for traffic improvement there, but some backstory. As others have mentioned, this intersection is pretty awful. People coming to work, coming from Limestone County, hang a right into our subdivision on Fireside Lane, and they cut across up Ida Red to bypass this intersection. So we're hoping that could, this will improve that. The issues have been around school times, right? We have a bus that comes, picks kids up on the south west corner there, and apparently Madison residents don't believe that when a school bus is stopped, that they should not drive around the school bus. So that's a big issue. So we're hoping that maybe some signage in the future could discourage people from entering the neighborhoods and continue through the through the roundabout rather than avoiding the roundabout. I don't know what that would even look like, but that's been what a lot of residents have asked me about, is if we could have like a no outlet sign, which obviously there is an outlet, so that doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to mention that, since that's been something I don't know what standard signs look like.
Well, if I could address that particular question, if people are avoiding the congestion, and if congestion disappears, the cut through traffic through your subdivision will disappear. And we're expecting this roundabout to take care of the congestion problem.
Okay, sounds good. And I had one more, if that's okay.
Yes.
The other question that folks had was about the sidewalk on the southwest corner that's adjacent to the Applewood subdivision. It's pretty low down there and it floods pretty bad. And this is shifting that way. And we're kind of, everybody's been concerned about if there would be, is there going to be any improvement to that, or is that sidewalk going to go away with that design, or what's going to happen?
The sidewalk will remain, and the drainage goes away from the sidewalk toward the road, and we're draining everything in the roundabout. Everything is going to continue to drain to the same low point in the road that it's draining to now. I can post the grading plan on the website if that would be helpful.
Sure. Yeah, the low point includes the northeast corner of that sidewalk, so that, I mean, we get a sprinkle and the sidewalk's underwater.
What I can do is address that through Public Works, and maybe they can improve the drainage and get that water a little farther away from the sidewalk. I do know what you're talking about.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Doug. And if you want to send me an email just to follow up, and I can keep you in the loop with Gary on that. Same email address as before? Oh, okay. Thank you, Gary. I'm sorry. Thank you, Doug. Jeff.
Hi, thanks so much for doing this. Jeff North, District 6. Two quick questions. Will the roundabout have any provision for pedestrian access like the sidewalks that were just mentioned? Would they connect in any way to the roundabout to get people to the gas station, for example? And then secondly, is there a provision for lighting around the perimeter of the roundabout near the entrance legs?
Great questions.
The subdivision, the roundabout drawings do not have sidewalks on them. There are no sidewalks currently serving that intersection. They are looking at adding sidewalks in the future, and the sidewalk plans for those future sidewalks would obviously have to work with the roundabout. In regards to the lighting, we currently have overhead lighting on Gillespie Road. Those are 250 watt low pressure sodium lights. We're requesting an aid to construction cost from Huntsville Electric. We want them replaced with 400 watt equivalent LED lights. So the lighting will be enhanced. And one thing we have included in this roundabout design on the traffic markings, we have a boatload of raised pavement markers. We got them every 2 feet on the edge of pavement and on the splitters, so that at night there should be a very bright illuminated roadway.
Great. Thank you so much. One other thing that I really like about this is that I use that gas station pretty often because they are the only ones that sell like the ethanol-free gas for the lawnmower. And I think it's going to be so much easier to get into that gas station because no matter how you approach the intersection, you'll be able to make a right turn into that gas station. And that's because a roundabout is unique of all intersection types because it has a built-in U-turn feature. So you can approach from one direction, go around the roundabout, make a U-turn, and then make a right turn into that gas station. So everybody, no matter how they approach the intersection, can make a right turn into the gas station. So it's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a great point. Do we have any other questions on Zoom, Sam? Sure, absolutely. So we'll, anything else that's come to mind while we give our friends on Zoom a chance that you can think of that we maybe need to reiterate or cover in a little bit more detail?
Something that might put Mr. Seifert to rest a little bit, the ALDOT standards for roundabouts, the single lane roundabout, their standard is if you keep the traffic volume in the roundabout under 1,100 cars in the peak hour, then it's a good safe mix. You can go up to 1,400 cars with a single lane roundabout. And our maximum estimated traffic in the circle is 770
Well
cars.
under.
So we're well within the range, and we've got a lot of growth.
Would we have any leeway on the signage if after, 30, 60, 90 days, we see kind of a same issue coming up that we can maybe look and incorporate a sign that has been more successful in the UK?
No.
Okay.
We cannot.
We can't. I didn't know if we could put it farther away, right?
We have to comply with MUTCD, the standards for the United States, and we will evaluate any complaint that we're getting. But what we're signalizing in this meets the ALDOT standards and MUTCD standards. And I really don't expect a problem with the signage. People are going to become very comfortable with this very quickly.
Good deal. Yes, Reid. Yeah.
All right, Gary. How do you guys estimate and count the traffic flow through intersections?
I've spent one day out there counting.
Okay, because I was going to volunteer to do that in other intersections that are troublesome.
In 2016, I sat there through the morning rush where I was picking up the school traffic, and then the evening rush, and we picked the peak hour of traffic, and we literally sit there and count every car that goes through and what direction did it come from, what direction did it go, and then in 2016, we also had total traffic volume counts on the roads themselves. But I've got the lane turning movements for that from 2016.
That's impressive.
We've updated the volume for the roads in 2018, and they're staying consistent.
Okay, thank you. I wondered how you came to those numbers.
If I'm sitting there on the side of the road looking dazed, it's because I'm counting cars.
And that being
These are
five.
my tax dollars at work.
Yes, sir.
That being
I'm not asleep.
That being 5 years ago, would that not have markedly increased as our?
We updated the overall traffic count 2 years afterwards, and it didn't change. And we're currently running below average on traffic volume because of the COVID.
Understandable. Very good. Yeah. So, anything that you can think? Oh, here we go. Yes, sir.
Follow-up question on the traffic going through the neighborhoods. Are those neighborhoods going to be allowed to park on the street?
They are going to be allowed. We're not going to limit their parking on the street.
Really? That's going to be really a pain.
It's called traffic calming too. So yes, it is a pain. You do have to slow down,
Well,
but that is their neighborhood.
Kids are out there, they can come out from behind, and that's my concern.
Well, I understand.
Those neighborhoods have kids.
I live right there, and I agree with you. At the same time, they are public roads, and we dealt with this in our subdivision.
Well, it's public roads, I understand, but you're having a you're having them opened up to full traffic. It's not normal.
We're putting substantially more traffic on there, and they don't care about the neighborhood. They're driving through. If you take the cars off the road, then you've really opened up another collector road, and they're going to drive accordingly.
Okay.
You've got your cars parked on the side of the road, and they really do have a calming effect.
Mhm. And again, we will have the
The what?
and that's what I was going to.
That's right.
Right. And we will have increased patrols in the area, especially at the beginning, and then we'll get into a rhythm, and safety as always is number one. Okay. Hey, Doug.
I had a follow-up to answer his question. So for Applewood, we had a community meeting of the HOA, and we are patrolling and have said that we will patrol Fireside Lane pretty heavily to prevent any stoppage from our residents there parking on there. And then residents there's only one house that is on that street, so that shouldn't really be a problem. Ida Red Lane is the road that has most of the traffic, and I've already encouraged all the homeowners there. We have a pool if they need to do street parking during this project to use the pool parking lot. And so most of them were positively responding to that. So at least in my neighborhood, I've already tried to address that for you guys.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. And I'll say for Franklin Station, Pennsylvania is a pretty wide road, subdivision wise. So that should be a safer area as well. So I don't know if we have anybody on Zoom from Franklin Station or Walden Preserve. Anybody else from? Well, but
And it literally will cut through. I mean, I live on Woodley. It will cut through on Woodley. And that'll be the main thoroughfare for folks trying to get to Columbia Elementary School, because you got to turn left on the Balch from Glen. So, we'll communicate through our HOA, and it's one of the nice things is progress. One of the bad things is progress, and we'll get through it and be better on the other side.
The good thing is it's temporary.
Exactly.
Embrace the sun.
Yeah, and then chances are with construction starting approximately May 5th, school gets out May 22nd-ish.
I don't know.
26.
26.
I'm not counting days.
Right. So with school being in session until May 26th, chances are that intersection's not going to be closed before May 26th. So, I mean, the goal really is for that intersection to be closed when school is out, when there's a lesser amount of traffic. Do we have anyone else on Zoom that has a question? No, that's it. Anyone else here in council chambers that has any questions? Final thoughts, Councilmember Spears?
I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight and getting on Zoom tonight to ask questions and to let us share this information. Thank you to Gary for gathering all the and everybody responsible for gathering all the information that we were able to share, and Samantha and Jason for all of our technology needs.
Very good. Councilmember Seifert?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same thing. And I really appreciate Gary's explanation of the details. Is very helpful and very clear understanding there. And then certainly Samantha and Jason for figuring all this stuff out. That's a challenge. So, something we've been trying to do for a while, and hopefully it'll help out in that intersection.
Very good. Thank you. Gary, final thoughts, observations, comments?
I've got a full set of drawings here. If somebody in the audience wants to flip through them and see if you have any additional questions, I'll hang around for a while.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank the panel, Sam and Jason and the mayor's office that helped to make this event possible. And again, on our website is that feature, let us know, whether it's regard to this or, public works or a trash can or anything. It's a valuable resource to use, and it'll go directly to that department, as always, reach out to your council member, our mayor's office. And I just want to thank everyone for their participation tonight. Again, this video will be available through the entire construction time for you to go back and take a look at the video that was embedded, take a look at the detours. We're here to help you. It will be a very positive, good thing for that part of town. And I just thank everyone for their participation and their expert advice. Thank you all and have a great night.